Oh, okay. Welcome. Good morning. It is February 24th to 2026, and this is your weekly update with Friends of Family Farmers on the Oregon State Legislature as it relates to small farm issues. I am Alice Morrison, the co-executive director of Friends of Family Farmers and the lead of our policy program. And I am here with another weekly update for you. Today, we are going to just do a calendar check of where we are in the session, what's still to come, all of those things. We'll check in about HB 4153, check in about SB 1586, and then talk about budget reductions and the timeline for the budget finalization that'll happen with the budget reconciliation bill and all the things that are coming out of that process. So, first things first, it's a short session. Our timelines are crunched. Let's talk about the calendar. So today is the 24th. The 26th, so Thursday, is the second chamber deadline. That means that all policy bills have to be voted out of their second chamber by the end of the day on February 26th. And then in between that and March 8th, which is the constitutional sine die is just a Latin term for the end of the session. It has to be over on that date. I've heard rumors that people want the session to be over on the 5th. I don't know if that's possible, but hey, wishful thinking is always welcome in that regard. But between that second chamber deadline and the constitutional sine die, all bills must have floor votes. They must go through that process. They have to get everything through the Ways and Means committee. They have to pass the budget bills, and all of those budget bills are currently sitting in the Ways and Means Capital Construction Subcommittee. That's honestly, I don't know why they put them in that committee, but that is a regular practice that like all of the reconciliation bills go through that subcommittee, and they're not assigned to policy subcommittees. And then, of course, we will have the end of the session, whether we like it or not, on March 8th. Oops. Okay, so let's talk about some bills. Many of you may have joined us at the Small Farms Conference over the weekend, where we talked about these priorities as well. But we have some slightly new information today. So HB 4153, we should say HB 4153A because it has been amended. They adopted the Dash 3 amendment last week. Or was it the week before? I think it might have been the week before. Everything's running together. It's so chaotic. But that bill, FOF is still not in support of the bill as amended because yes, it addressed the small farm concerns by just adding existing language back in, but will lead to more confusion in enforcement in the counties, does not clarify when a permit is not required, and still leaves a gigantic hole in how we are regulating commerce on farmland by allowing unlimited event and incidental item income through a farm store permit for anyone who qualifies. So that is a grave concern to us in terms of how much it will drive up land prices, how the implementation of 10,000 square foot retail spaces where unlimited amounts of fee-based ticket-based events and incidental item sales. Yes, there's a square footage limitation in the amendment about incidental item sales can occupy no more than 25% of that square footage, but it does not limit how much of the commerce has to be about that. So you could have essentially, you do have to have product from your farm present. You don't have to sell any of it. There's no requirement that selling your farm's product has to make up any part of your revenue from your farm store. So you could be selling 100% of your revenue through ticket sales and just incidental items could be clothing, could be prepared food items with no connection to your farm, could be stickers, stationery, any kind of that stuff, but like there's no requirement that your farm product make up any of the sales from your farm store. So it's allowing unrelated retail on farm spaces and allowing people to build retail spaces of up to 10,000 square feet on land that is tax deferred for farm purposes. And we have really grave concerns about what that's going to do to land prices and the competitiveness of our farmers in the future and their ability to afford appropriate and accessible farmland. So we are not in favor of 4153 as amended. We did submit an amendment that we would be very much in favor of. Think it's a great thing because we do agree that there need to be more opportunities for farmers within the within the farm stand statute right now. There's room for clarification, there's room for improvement, and we put forward a proposal that was not discussed in the committee. But this bill has been referred to Ways and Means. There is no hearing currently scheduled for this bill in Ways and Means. And as of today, it has also not been assigned to a subcommittee. So we don't know what exactly is happening with this bill in Ways and Means. It has a fiscal light. So I am not sure how the vast policy change that would be encompassed in this bill could be attached to a budget omnibus bill. I think that this would have to be passed outright out of Ways and Means, and it currently does not have a hearing. There will be an informational hearing in the Senate Natural Resources Committee today at 1:45, where myself and one of our member farmers, Alana Kanegi, and a representative from a land use group are going to be discussing our concerns with the conversation and the merits of the Dash 6 amendment, which we wrote and we believe is the middle path, and how we are going to create more opportunities for all farmers, reduce confusion at the county level, and provide a path forward for folks to have more diversified income in the future. So we are having that informational hearing during the Senate Natural Resources Committee this afternoon. You can tune in to watch that hearing. There's not an opportunity for public testimony. It's invited testimony only, so we have some presentations that we're going to give. And then we can take questions from the committee about the content of our presentations. So if you would like to tune into that, please head over to the Oregon Legislature Information System, OLIS, the website, and you can see live streams of all the committees. And that will be at 1:45 today. They delayed the committee a little bit because there is an extended floor session because of all the deadlines. Okay. So 1586. So this is the advanced manufacturing tax credit bill that also encompasses a pretty large UGB expansion and some land use decisions that kind of snuck in there and is not part of the relating to clause at all of this bill. So there is no current work session scheduled. Last week, they scheduled a third public hearing and possible work session in the Senate Finance and Revenue Committee. So there are three committees that these timelines that I just talked about don't apply to. There's the Ways and Means Committee, so the Joint Ways and Means Committee and all of their subcommittees, they can operate as long as they get all of their business done and there's time for floor sessions before the end of the session. They're allowed to go right up to the wire. Then also the Senate and House both have revenue and rules committees, and those committees are also not subject to those timelines. This bill is sitting in the Senate Finance and Revenue Committee, and it did have a work session on the calendar until Saturday, and when the committee decided to remove the work session from the calendar. So a work session is a committee vote. So that's how it advances. The committee members would vote to put it out to the floor or refer it to another committee. But the committee removed the work session from the agenda and just had a public hearing on this bill, which means that there was more testimony, much of it in opposition. There's also quite a few amendments on this bill. I think that I've heard of up to the Dash 8 amendment. And as my expertise lies in small farm policy, and most of this is tax incentives for high-tech industry, I don't feel qualified to pontificate on the merits of individual amendments, but there are a lot of different approaches to this. And the opposition has been much more than just land use, although that is the main reason why FOF is involved in this and thinks it's inappropriate that a land use decision was kind of shoehorned into this bill. But we've heard from labor groups that they are concerned about the proliferation of tax breaks for industries without meaningful job creation. There are other tech and construction stakeholders that express concerns about the fleeting nature of these tax incentives, that we are playing this game where we are trying to put out something shiny to attract multinational industries that will just pick up and leave after that incentive sunsets. Also, former and current lawmakers discussed whether or not it's a good idea to have a race to the bottom in terms of corporate accountability, environmental standards, and site consideration. We've heard a lot of talk that we are falling behind places like Arizona, Idaho, and North Carolina when it comes to investment from these national and multinational tech industries. But people testified in the hearing on Monday that those places do not have the quality of life that Oregon has. And if we decide to sacrifice our quality of life for business friendliness, it will look a lot more like the environmental regulations that Idaho and Arizona have. It will look a lot more like the worker protections that Idaho, Arizona, North Carolina have. And that's not necessarily a step forward for Oregon. So that was a lot of what the opposition testimony looked like in this hearing on Monday. So just to clarify that it is not only land use that is the problem with this bill, there's a lot of discussion about whether or not this is the right path forward. So the future of this bill is uncertain. We are opposed to SB 1586 in all forms that include the land use sections, which in some amendments are sections 19 through 21, and in some amendments are sections 20 through 22. But there has been no talk of removing those sections, and therefore we remain in opposition and remain engaged in the conversation. But kind of in a holding pattern here, we will update you all when additional information is available. And then bill reductions. So we circulated our budget reduction package sign-on letter earlier in the session. We testified in a hearing in the first week stating that we had concerns about specific programs that were on the chopping block, and that we don't want these cuts to be made permanent. Designating a program as non-essential has some pretty serious consequences in the budget landscape, and we don't want to see these vital programs that in some cases we've advocated for many, many years, undone by a couple years of budget uncertainty. And that includes the ODA organics program. That includes state meat inspection program staff, ag water quality program staff, as well as things like the Oregon Farm to School infrastructure and equipment grant program, which is a vital part of how we help our small producers scale up for institutional markets, and additional regulatory programs like the pesticide monitoring and pesticide monitoring programs and more. But we've been contributing to this process, but it has been kind of a black box. They have not had very many public hearings on this, and bill numbers for the end of session budget bills were released late last week. Those have been assigned to the Capital Construction Committee. There may or may not be opportunities for public comment. We may circulate another opportunity for folks to email their legislators, both representatives and senators, considering these are joint committees and the floor will have to vote on these. And these have to be passed by the end of session. So we know that something is going to happen by the sine die. Not clear on what exactly are in these packages, but when we get more information, we will be updating folks on our priorities, all the programs I listed, and especially OSU statewide, which are a vital resource for our community and rural stakeholders at large. In the meantime, we are also in the midst of our data gathering cycle. In the short session years, because the session is only 35 days long, we take the time to discuss the topics that are always of utmost concern to our farmers with the people that we serve. We have a series of 8 focus groups. We had our climate change focus group last week. We are having our land access and land use focus group today. Agritourism is tomorrow. I believe that one is full. I'm so sorry. It's such a hot topic right now that we had so many people sign up. Water resource resilience and and workforce issues are later on this week, and capital access, industrialization, and fair competition, and our wild card session, emerging issues, will continue in the next couple weeks. So we are really excited to have these in-depth conversations, and we really appreciate your time. This is a vital part of our policy setting process. And if you can't attend a focus group, please do take our survey. We are a grassroots organization, which means that we have a bottom-up approach to policy setting. So if we don't hear about it from our base in the survey and the focus groups, we don't take a position on it. We don't generate policy on it. We need to have that confirmation from the people that we serve that this is important to them. This is a an urgent issue or requires, us establishing a long-term campaign. And this is something that matters to them and that they have solutions they want us to pursue. So if you are facing any kind of roadblocks in your farming journey, or if you have something in your community that we need to know about, please do fill out the survey, join us for a focus group, and put that on the record with FOF so that we can put that through our policymaking process and help you solve your problems. Some of the things that came directly out of the last two rounds of this in 2023, our work to modernize the farm direct producer process exemption, the value added product section of that, adding new product classes, raising the sales limitation, adding consignment and new venues for folks to sell those products. That all came out of our focus groups and surveys. So the specifics of what was in the bill was brought to us by community so that we could make that bill, that law work for you. So that's just one example of a way that getting involved in this process can solve a tangible problem for you. In 2025, our focus groups and surveys also showed us that there was an opportunity to address unequal application and some inconsistency and hypocrisy in the way that domestic well exemptions were used, and that ended up helping us pass HB 3372 last session, which allows folks to use a portion of their commercial allocation from their domestic well to grow vegetables for sale on a half acre. That was not allowed until January 1st of this year, and we were able to change the law because of the way that folks got involved and told us exactly what they needed. So be bold. You don't have to be an expert in everything. Just tell us what you need, and we will see if there is a policy solution for it. So thank you so much. And that is all I have for you. So we can pause the recording.